The final boss is back. It's go time. Season 3 is here. Are you tuning in? Every Sunday is Sitting Down Sundays with the final boss. Get ready for an inspiring journey as we dive deep into the transformation from the nation's capital to the entertainment capital of the world. This is the conversation that will ignite your dreams and fuel your ambitions. What you'll experience: game-changing insights from industry leaders, real talk about making impossible dreams possible, the blueprint for leveling up your life, motivation that hits different. This isn't just another podcast episode. This is your wake-up call to greatness. Don't just listen, absorb, don't just hear. Transform, don't just dream, execute. Drop a like in the comments if you're ready to level up with us.
Welcome to Sunday night edition of the Final Boss Podcast. Man, what a week. I hope everyone is having a great weekend as it comes to a close. And I hope everyone had a great week and had a good time since the last time I saw you, right? Now, test. 1 2 1 2. Welcome everyone who is here. Where are my early birds at? Where are my early birds? I see. Okay, here we go. I see the glamorous Andrea. I see the beautiful and intelligent Chikandi. I see I pass with Angela. Hey man, listen, everyone. Thank you. And there, oh man, whoa. We just got flooded with a whole bunch of people that just came in on another site. So, but everyone's here, man. Look, I have a great show for you tonight. Per always, I always have a great show for you too. Every single night. So tonight's a little bit different though, right? Because we're coming at the end of season 3, man. So mostly the rest of the episodes are going to be about going from, or transitioning, I should say, transitioning from reckoning to rebirth, right? Transitioning from reckoning to rebirth. And speaking of which, if you haven't gotten Go Time, go pick up Go Time. All aboard the fired up train where all books have sold. You want to hear a crazy story? I saw, and it sold too. I saw my book on eBay. I saw my book on eBay, man, selling for $50+. I even saw it for selling for $73, right? $70, man. $70 for Go Time. Whoever decided to do the resale on my book, thank you. You're just adding more value to it. I greatly appreciate you for that. I think that's like a huge markup, but okay, what if it works, man? And they have three more left. I'm like, wow, okay. And it's in the UK. So I don't want you guys thinking that I did something like that. Nah, man, this was overseas, man. So yeah. And hey, who knew? Right. But look, if you haven't gotten your copy, go pick it up. Go Time, all aboard the fired up train where all books are sold. Listen, tonight is episode number 191. I am burning up. It is hot. I don't know if you, I'm on fire, man. When I'm on fire, it's going to be a great show, right? So here it is. To my smarts, to my motivators, to my warriors, to my final bosses, each and every last single one of you, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here since day one, man. A lot of you guys have been here since day one, and I greatly appreciate you. For all those who haven't, make sure you go check out our website, man. Our website at www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. You can see all of our episodes from the beginning to the end. From the beginning to the end. Season 1, season 2, season 3. And now we're going into season 4, baby. Season 4 is coming up, right? Season 4 is coming up very, very soon. Man, time is moving so fast. Look, if you like the show, let it resonate. Like, share, subscribe, man. Like, share, subscribe. Send it out to your people, man. Send it out to your compadres, right? to your compadres, right? Your amigos, your homies, right? Send it out to everyone, man. If it resonates in your spine, man, and don't gatekeep the information, look, share it out, right? I see you guys. You coming and going. You coming and going. Stay here. Wait, look. Let me get my wand so you guys can. Hey, the professor's in session. You stay right there. Don't you go nowhere. No hallway passes for the next hour. No bathroom breaks, right? Stay put, right? Because we're going to get into it. Look, we're vetting people to become hosts on the Final Boss podcast, right? So you can be a part of the Final Boss community, Final Boss Nation, Final Boss family in a way that we can all learn, where we can learn from you. So if you want to be part of the Final Boss podcast, you have an idea for a show and you don't have the backing, we have 350,000 people plus backing influencers and people who are a part of our show. If you want to be a part of the show and you want your own segment, look, there's 24 hours in a day. I can line 24 hours. I can line 24 people up a day. Listen, we got blocks available. Let me know if that's something that is of your interest, and we will make it happen. But in order to do that, you need to shoot me an email. Shoot me an email at info, I-N-F-O, at thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's our email, INFO at thefinalbosspodcast.com. And we would get you vetted and on board, man. And you too will have your own segment utilizing, all you have to do is show up. Everything else is done. Oh, you have to develop your show though, but everything else is done, right? So we will take care of that, man. And if you want to have your own show, let us know and we will be in talks with you. So let's get into tonight's show, man. Tonight's show is number 191. This is the final audit. We talk about audit, right? We talked about audit this, audit that, audit this, audit that, audit this, audit that. Tonight, we're talking about the final audit, right? We're talking about what you're taking into the rebirth, right? And what gets left behind, right? Because that's what is going on. That is what is going on, right? So, a few weeks from tonight, right? Everything transforms, right? Episode number 201. That's only 10 episodes away, right? Season 4, the rebirth, will begin, right? But here's what most people miss about transformation. Because, and it's this one thing. You can't experience rebirth while carrying every broken belief, right? Toxic relationships, no. Destructive habits, no. And an expired identity, right? An expired identity, right? You're going to go from your old life into your new one, right? Rebirth doesn't mean an addition to. It means death first, strategic elimination, intentional, right? Intentional burial of what no longer serves the person you're becoming, right? So, final bosses, listen, that's what it's all about, right? Y'all know my story, man. I don't need to tell you guys about my story, right? Combat veteran, 3 tours, Pentagon 9/11 survivor. You know, I own a few businesses, blah, 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 right? You guys know that already. I'm finishing up my MBA and I'm starting my doctoral coursework in July, right? Which happens to be in AI foundations and ethical considerations, right? That will be here before you know it. It's only 141 days away, right? And listen, I'm me because we're on this journey together. I keep telling people, look, we are on this journey together, right? We're on this journey together. The Final Boss Nation, Final Boss family, we're on this journey together, right? I am a living testament to rebirth, right? in real time, right? Right now, actually, I'm undergoing multiple rebirths simultaneously, right? And tonight, I'm giving you the exact audit protocol that determines whether transformation elevates you or destroys you, right? And this is, again, episode number 191 of season 3, The Reckoning, right? 10 episodes remain, right? And we're going to be going through the most significant transition, not only in this podcast, but in this world, right? We're in alignment. You can feel the energy, right? Something is transforming. Something is transitioning, right? Not only here, but in your surroundings, right? In your society, in your neighborhood, right? It's something going on. And we have a few weeks to prepare, right? And the question isn't whether season 4 will the rebirth will arrive, because it will. Time passes regardless. The question is, will you arrive transformed, or will you arrive unchanged? Will you arrive still in the reckoning, right? If you're still going to be in a reckoning, then I suggest you go back to season 3 and get sped up, right? And get sped up, right? And look, we're getting into the complete transformation audit framework, right? 5 categories, right, of execution. There's going to be a ceremony, right? There's going to be an installation process, right? Everything required for systematic rebirth. This isn't motivational speech. This is operational order. So let's get right into it, right? Let's get right into it. Now, as you know, I like to start off with some credentials that give me credibility into what I'm talking about, because a lot of people just talk. And I'm sitting there wondering, what makes you qualified to say what you're saying, right? And I wonder that. People just have these ideas and they just throwing them out there, right? They're just throwing them out there. Where do these ideas come from? What is your base for that idea? Have you done some research in reference to that idea? No. You are just spewing out nonsense, right? A lot of these podcasters, man, that's what they do, right? But I'm gonna go ahead and get into it, right? Because I like to ask myself questions, right? What qualifies me to guide you through tonight's transformation audit, right? And I have a few things up my sleeve. First, my military deployment, right? That's experience, right? Afghanistan, Iraq, and other places that I've been to, right? That's given me the ability to evaluate every piece of gear, every pound of weight, every item that you are carrying right now, right? The weight of the world that you're carrying, right? And we're talking about carrying that weight into high stakes environments, right? Why? Because what you carry determines whether you'll survive, right? I learned that in war zones, right? That mobility beats armor, speed beats comfort, and mission essential beats nice to haves, right? Every single time, right? Now we got that out the way. Let's go into the second phase. Let's go into the second phase of I was a branch chief, right? I was a branch chief for the federal government, right? Not contract. I was a GS employee, right? For 23 years, right? Skills that I transferred into entrepreneurship, right? Relationships I developed that I utilized for Sat DigiNet, right? Versus which context that may have been dependent on if I stayed, right? And then their beliefs about security, stability, and success that was needed, right? That need was needed to be eliminated, right? For uh for me to have a full autonomous execution, right? That audit happened systematically. It happened, right? Not emotionally, right? It was well thought out, right? And then the education evolution, right? My background as a bachelor's in business with a concentration in entrepreneurship. My MBA right now is in global studies and international business, right? My doctoral studies, I told you guys about that, right? All while doing all that while broadcasting 5 weekly shows weekly at 9 p.m. Eastern time, right? Being present for family and friends, right? All of that required a resource audit, right? Time, money, energy, attention, right? All relocated from consumption to investment, right? And in 141 days, I'll be doing it all over again, right? Another rebirth, another audit, another systematic elimination of what doesn't serve the elevated identity, right? So that's two things, right? Now, let's talk about family, right? Because everything I build is for family, right? Not just for money or business assets, for family, right? For family is what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about. Your family, specifically, let's talk about my daughter, right? She's gonna recognize and understand the quality of work, right? The behavioral patterns, the belief systems, the relationship standards, right? The resource management habits, and identity architecture, right? That inheritance responsibility means every decision tonight gets filtered through one question, right? One question. Would I want her to inherit this pattern, right? Now, think about this. From 0 to 350,000 plus, right? We've done it. We have done that, right? We did that through subtraction, right? Through subtraction of the things that were not needed, right? Where we were able to solely focus on the things that were necessary to get to where we are, right? You understand? I'm using words that are not singular, right? Because it's not about me. It's about us. We, right? We're on this journey, right? And tonight's framework applies across all transformation contexts, right? We're going to be talking about career transitions. We're going to be talking about relationship evolution. We're going to be talking about financial reconstruction, identity upgrades, habit reforms, right? Belief system renovation, right? You're getting 5 category audit protocol, right? In the weeks to come, you're going to see an execution map, right? A ceremony, like I stated before, right? And then you're going to understand when the resistant countermeasures come, because they're going to come, right? And then for season 4, you have vision clarity. And after the show, you would know exactly what survives your transformation and what gets left behind, right? Because transformation demands something to be left behind. Not metamorphical, right? I jacked that word up. But we don't continue, right? Actual elimination of identity components that defined previous existence, right? And then we're going to talk about the biological model. When like a caterpillar enters its metamorphosis, right? It doesn't gradually grow wings. Its body liquefies itself, digests the enzymes, and dissolves nearly every structure of its body, right? The caterpillar dies, but what emerges is a beautiful butterfly that contains almost no original caterpillar cells, right? A complete transformation, right? And it proceeds with a winged rebirth, right? If you see the new logo for season 4, it has wings. It's a reason for that, right? Now let's talk about the combat model, right? Pre-deployment meant elimination of civilian life, right? Pre-deployment meant I had to eliminate the civilian life, right? I had to store possessions. I had to cancel subscriptions. I had to explain to relationships why contact becomes irregular, right? Because the person that was boarding the deployment plane isn't the person who returns, right? Warriors who fight this process, who try carrying their civilian identity into combat zones, they're the ones that always break. They always break, right? Now, and then by the end of the night, we're going to apply the final boss application, right? Because season 4 represents elevated execution, refined frameworks, applied platform, doctoral level research integration, right? Systematic empire construction, but you can't board the fired up train carrying every broken piece of season 3, right? Because the question is this: what are you willing to leave behind, right? What are you willing to leave behind? And we're going to do a 5-category audit, right? And because every transformation audit examines the 5 categories containing everything you're currently carrying, right? You're currently carrying the weight of relationships, right? And those have 4 classifications. One is elevators, right? Those are the people raising your standards, challenging assumptions, modeling excellence, providing growth, producing accountability. These survive the rebirth, right? And then you have your maintainers. These are people keeping you exactly where you are, not toxic, just neutral, comfortable, familiar. These become anchors during the transformation, right? And then you have one of my favorites, the descenders. The descenders. You know who you are, right? The descenders. These are people who are actively pulling you backward. Toxic relationships, energy vampires, jealousy, right? Disguised as concern, right? You already know who they are. And I do too. The descenders are not coming with me in season 4. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, these electronics, man, they are acting crazy. Anyway, the descenders, they're not coming with me to season 4, right? And these are the people who are actively pulling you backward, right? Remember those people. You know who they are. And then you have your transitionals, right? These are the people who see relationships from utility standpoint, right? It's not wrong, but dealing with them, clarity matters, right? Stop confusing these people with elevators. These are your users, right? And then we have to go into category number 2, which is your beliefs. These are the beliefs about yourself, your success, money, relationships, your capabilities, right? Your worthiness and what's possible, right? And then we're going to be talking about, of course, you have beliefs, and then we're going to be talking about empowering, right? Those are the discipline compounds into dominance, right? My daughter deserves generational wealth, and I'm capable of constructing it, right? Those are some things that you need to say to yourself, right? Then there's the limiting, right? Because success requires family limitings, right? And we're getting too old to be starting off fresh, right? Why are you doing that, right? Empire building means choosing, unfortunately, I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I have to say it because at this time and age, you need to understand this, right? Empire building means choosing money over relationships, right? It's true, right? You got to build, right? And everybody can't go with you, right? And then there's habits. These are your daily patterns creating yearly outcomes, right? Creating your productive protocols, right? Like your morning execution protocols, your consistent broadcast of whatever you're doing, right? Your protected focus blocks, right? Your systematic research for whatever else that you're dealing with, business, school, what have you, right? Do some research, right? And then you have your destructive category, right? You have your destructive category. And this is you getting rid of the reactive scrolling addiction, right? The doom scrolling, right? That you're doing without strategic purpose, right? Your perfectionism that's preventing you from starting something, right? And your comfort seeking that's enabling your discipline, right? Because discipline demands discomfort. You're too comfortable, right? And then category 4, you need to get a lock on and get locked in on your resources, right? Your time, money, energy, attention, allocation, right? Do some research on investment spending, education, business infrastructure, IP protection, right? Wealth construction. And then you monitor your spending, right? You monitor your consumption spending on entertainment, right? I know, I know. Test, 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 test. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna continue anyway, right? I don't listen. Electronics, man. Might be time for a new soundboard, but that makes sense. It lasted 4 seasons, so I'm surprised it lasts that long. But you know, it is what it is. So your consumption, right? Get above your comfort, right? Get above your comfort, right? And then you have to start being productive, right? Get in a state of productive creation instead of being the opposite, a reactive consumption, right? Which is a pure waste of time. That's just wasting your time, right? And then identity. You have to know who you are. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, right? understand you can be who you're meant to be, right? You understand who you can be who you're meant to be, right? And while you're doing all this, there's a few questions you should be asking yourself, right? You should ask yourself, which elements would enable season 4 execution for you? Which elements will constrain it, right? Because you're going through the rebirth. I'm going through the rebirth. We're going through the rebirth, right? What survives your rebirth? What gets buried and left behind in season 3, right? Because we're building systematic transformation, right? Not inspirational theory, right? Now, one of the first things you need to do when it comes to auditing, oh, wait, hold on. One of the first things you need to do is audit your relationships systematically, right? Audit your relationships, right? And right now, pull out your phone, right? Open your contacts, right? Scroll through your recent messages, your calls, your social media interactions, and identify your elevators. These are the people, right? I told you who they were in the beginning. Identify your elevators, right? And after conversations with these people, these are the people who make you feel more capable, right? They make you feel more focused, more aligned, right? They make you feel good about excellence. Their presence raise standards. You should group those people in your phone, right? Next is your maintenance people, right? Now you group your elevators, and then it's time to group your maintainers. These are the people who don't do harm, but they're not really helping, right? They just exist in your relational ecosystem, right? They're comfortable, familiar, but they're neutral, right? And then you identify the descenders, right? You identify your descenders. These are the people that make you feel like after the interactions you have with them, you feel drained, you feel doubted, you feel diminished, you feel distracted, or they make you feel like you're defending decisions you already made, right? You need to group them people into a group as well. And then your transactionals, right? Who are just pure utility. These are service providers, professional contacts, where relationship exists only for specific value exchange, right? It can be business or personal. Right? And listen, once you do that, here's the honest and brute truth. Here's the brutal truth, right? Most people's relationship portfolios are heavily weighted in two categories: maintainers and descenders, right? Most people have few elevators and even less transactionals, right? And some of those transactions are misclassified as elevators, right? But why, you ask? Because elevators are rare. People operating at higher levels than you, right? People who are willing to invest time pulling you upward, right? People who are challenging comfort, providing accountability, and that growth, sometimes it hurts, right? But it produces growth, right? Because the truth hurts sometimes, right? And sometimes you need to hear it. Sometimes you need to hear the brute, honest truth in order to grow, right? Those people are uncommon. They require something from you. And a lot of times it's performance that can justify their investment, right? And then the group that's most abundant are your maintainers, right? They ask nothing, they challenge nothing. These people are easy. They just around, right? They absolutely really doesn't serve a purpose, but they're comfortable, right? They're neutral. But then they're you have your descenders, right? Your descenders persist because of guilt, because of history, because of obligation, because of fear of confrontation, right? And they like to say, "Oh man, we've been friends for 11 years. We've been friends for 15, 20 years. We've been in the sandbox together, right? We've been friends since high school or whatever, right? We're family, right? And you can't cut off family. You can't cut me off because I'm going through something right now and I need you. Listen, cut them people off. Cut them off. Time to let the descendants go, man. They got to go, right? And when and this is metaphor. I'm using this as a metaphor, right? When deploying to combat, you can't bring everyone, right? Geographic separation forces relationship audit. Some relationships survive through maintained connection despite distance. Others fade naturally when proximity ends. The ones surviving the deployment, they were elevators all along. Maintainers don't endure hardships, right? Descenders use distance as confirmation of criticism, right? Transactionals find new utility sources, right? Understand that, right? Because you need to understand that to go into the rebirth protocol, right? In the rebirth protocol, you don't need to cut off people. You need to recategorize investments, right? That's what you need to do, right? Turn the elevators up. You have them, turn them up. Increase the access. Deepen the investment with them. Proactively nurture, right? Protect that time. Honor it with priority, right? And then your maintainers. You reduce reduce them to occasionally boundaries, right? Occasionally having boundary protected interactions, right? Send them a holiday card. You don't need to talk to them weekly, right? You don't need to see how they're doing daily, right? These are your maintainers, right? You need to audit them. Send them a holiday card. Give them a birthday wish, right? Don't need to do daily texts and calls with them, right? And then your descenders. You need, I'm gonna keep saying it. It's strategic elimination. No explanation required. Simply less access, right? Delayed responses becoming no responses. Natural drift that is accelerated intentionally, right? And for those transactionals, you maintain clarity. You make sure you continue to build a business relationship, have professional exchanges. Don't confuse the utility for intimacy, right? A lot of people do that, right? Yeah, we're not going to get into that's a whole nother show, right? But we're not going to do that. But listen, and one of my first call to action for tonight, I want you to do a 10-week challenge. I want you to do a 10-week challenge, right? And here it is. Write it down, right? Week 1 and 2, I should say, complete a 4-list inventory. Week 3 and 4, identify top elevators, increase the investment and make it deliberate, right? Make it intentional. Weeks 5 and 6, you reduce maintainers access by 50%. Week 7 and 8, you eliminate the descenders systematically, right? And week 9 and 10, you clarify transactionals, right? Remove confusion about purpose. Set that boundary. This is business, not business intimacy, right? Business. You have to set that up. Because the hard truth is this: if your relationships don't change, you won't either. You become the average of 5 people you spend most time with. If those 5 aren't operating at season 4 levels, you won't reach season 4 execution, right? Now, my 5 people are always with me. Always with me, right? I am is right here. You don't see him, but he's right here. And then there's 4 me over here, right here. There's Dwight, there's Turbo, there's Mr. Black, right? And then the occasion soon to be doctor, right? Who's already thinking he's a doctor. He's right there, right? The doctor / final boss. Then you have Turbo, you have Blacks, and then you have Dwight over here. And then you have I am right here. So those are my 5, right? Those are my 5. But listen, I didn't go through tonight's brass tacks for a reason, but I'm gonna go through it right now, right? And here it is. You can't board the fired up train carrying passengers who refuse to leave the station. Relationships either fuel transformation or prevent it. There's no neutral ground, right? Season 4, you need season 4 relationships. You need to start auditing accordingly, right? And got that out the way, right? That's your brass tacks for tonight. And now we need to do a belief system audit, right? Because beliefs are software running your hardware. You can't upgrade performance without auditing code, right? And I'm going to give you a belief discovery exercise, right? Because most limiting beliefs operate subconsciously, right? Background processes shaping decisions without conscious awareness, right? You need to expose them through 3 questions, right? Ask yourself this question. It's 3 of them. Ask yourself these questions. Number 1, what have you wanted to attempt for years but haven't started? That's your first question, right? If you're asking yourself right now and you have a somewhat of hesitation, right? That hesitation reveals belief. If you believe it or not, it does, right? You want to write a book but have it? That's belief, right? Think about it. Think about it, right? That question extends to your worthiness, your judgment of fear, right? You may be saying to yourself, I want to start a business, but you can't stop researching. You've been researching, trying to start a business for 5 years, right? For 5 years, you've been researching the same thing, right? That reveals beliefs, right? About your readiness, about your timing, about your ability to take risk. And then question number 2, ask yourself, what do you believe about people who've achieved what you want, right? The first thing that comes to mind is, oh, they were lucky, or they had connections, or they started younger, right? Or they don't have the responsibilities I have. If those statements are marinating right now in your subconscious, that reveals beliefs about your success mechanisms, right? And is usually limiting, right? And then question number 3, ask yourself or complete this sentence, right? Say to yourself, I would blank if only blank, right? And use this as an example. I would achieve this goal if only this obstacle wasn't in the way, right? I would scale my business if only I had more capital. I would start a podcast if only I had better equipment. I would pursue higher education if only I were younger, right? The obstacles you cite reveal the belief that is limiting your actions, right? And then we're going to go into something that I like to call the military belief reconstruction, right? Because for those who haven't been in the military, it's something you need to know, right? Something you need to know, right? Basic training doesn't primarily teach you physical skills. It reconstructs belief systems. Instructors deliberately install empowering beliefs while systematically destroying limited ones, right? And all the soldiers that I went through basic training with, we all were basically thinking the same thing, right? I can't do this. I can't function on 4 hours of sleep, right? The drill sergeants will be like, sleep is negotiable when mission demands execution, right? I'm not comfortable. This bed is too hard. So forth and so on, right? Man, let me tell you, I can sleep anywhere. still, still, a cot, the floor. I can't remember how many times I actually fell asleep standing up. You can fall asleep standing up, right? Right? Comfort. It is the discomfort in the environment is where excellence develops, right? You learn to scale up and scale down for what you need, right? And then the obstacles, right? Like the obstacle courses or the obstacles that you endured during the training, right? Some of those obstacles meant you were on the wrong path, right? But with the proper instruction, those obstacles conform advancement because easy paths lead nowhere valuable, right? And then I want you to notice something. I want you to notice the limiting beliefs, right? Because the limiting beliefs require specific conditions before action. Empowering beliefs enable action regardless of conditions, right? Regardless of those conditions. And going from season 3 to season 4, you should have this belief system, right? And write this down, right? Season 3, we were building, right? Season 4, we're constructing, right? We're constructing. Season 3, we transition from something. Season 4, we strategically transition, right? There's a difference. One is scalable and has scalable impact for legacy construction, right? In season 3, we said we were pursuing something. Season 3 said we're going to pursue this. In season 4, we become this, right? So in season 3, we pursued excellence through the fired up train. No, I'm sorry. Season 3, we pursued excellence on the fired up train, right? I did that deliberately. Season 4, we're becoming what we pursued, right? We're becoming that, right? And through systematic research, we are validating that. You notice how season 4 beliefs expand in scope, in ownership, intentionality, right? The belief replacement protocol, right? It's all there. You can't just eliminate limiting beliefs. You have to replace immediately with empowering alternatives, right? By identifying, right? By operating at a higher level. And then acting on that empowerment by believing in yourself. The behavior that you see and witness within yourself precedes the belief shift, right? And then there's the there's habits that you need to start working on, right? Habits. Start using your time wisely, right? For work, for deep work, shadow work, right? For relationship investment, for personal development, for rest. And then set aside a time to waste time, right? Have a block of time to waste time. It's necessary, right? And then at the end of your week, do a total tally on each category, right? And do an assessment. What works for you, right? What didn't work for you, right? And continue that process. Weeks 1, weeks 2, weeks 3, and weeks 4, right? Continue that process, right? And you have to say, I see what went well and I see what didn't go well, right? That's what it's about, right? And then once you have those numbers, because it's all metrics, you want success, you need metrics. You want to get your head above water, you want to swim to the shore, because your entire life you've been doggy paddling in the middle of the ocean and not going anywhere. Listen, you need metrics. It's time to change your scope, right? Season 3, we pursued. Season 4, we become. And then after you have those metrics, well, let's get back to you, doggy paddle in the middle of the ocean, right? In order for you to get to that shoreline, you have to make a change. You've been doing the same thing your entire life, and it has not gotten you anywhere. It is time for you to make a change. It is time for you to get something that can assist in your development, to help you get to the shoreline. Go time, all aboard the fired up train can do that. Metrics and assessments can do that, right? It's time to start now, right? You want to get to that shoreline. That shoreline has abundance. That shoreline has excellence. That shoreline has the fired up train, right? And once you complete that challenge, you develop an elimination hierarchy, right? It's time to start eliminating things out of your life that doesn't mean you any good, right? And put them in tiers, right? For example, let's say tier 1 is the tier that of things that you need to immediately eliminate right now. We're almost done. Don't go nowhere. Stay right there. No bathroom break. No hallway pass. Sit your ass back down. Sit back down. Right. Tier 1, elimination immediately. Right. These are the habits that are actively sabotaging your transformation. Those destructive relationships, they need to be gone. You got substance dependencies, They need to be gone. You have financial recklessness, gone, right? You got health destroying behaviors, gone. You can't take them to season 4. They won't come, right? And then tier 2, right? Tier 2 are the things that you need to reduce significantly, right? These are the habits that are draining your resources without proportional return, right? The excessive news consumption, right? The reactive social media, the comfort-seeking entertainment, the low leverage busy work that you do, right? It's in tier 2. And after you eliminate those items in tier 1, you need to move those items from tier 2 that are in tier 2 to tier 1 for elimination, right? And then there's tier 3. These are the things that you need to replace intentionally, right? These are the neutral habits that consume time, but are better allocated elsewhere, right? These are the things like watching TV while reading and scrolling, with learning and complaining while creating. You can't do all of it at the same time, right? You need to start replacing those habits, right? Categorize them, right? And then after you've done all that, right? I have another 10-week habit reconstruction task. Man, I love some good H2O, high quality. I don't know if this was high quality, but right now it's good. Wait a minute. Oh, wait, hold on. What's this? Nice. Okay. 10-week habit reconstruction, right? Week 1, you need to complete 168 hours of tracking your audits, right? Week 2, you need to identify top 3 destructive habits consuming the most time. Week 3 and 4, you need to eliminate one tier 1 habit, complete removal, kiss it goodbye, right? And then week 5 and 6, you need to install one habit that can trigger a cascade of improvements, right? And then weeks 7 and 8, you reduce tier 2 habits by 50%. And then weeks 9 and 10, you replace one tier 3 habit with a higher leverage alternative, right? Understand that, right? And then once you do that, you grasp the understanding of the automation principle, right? Because willpower is finite. Automation is infinite, right? Don't rely on daily decisions about productive habits. You automate them. Same wake time daily, same workout time daily, same whatever you are doing time daily, right? Same planning ritual daily, same content creation blocks daily, right? For instance, 9 p.m. is our broadcast time live 5 days a week. That I'm using that as an example, right? That does not have any decision making, right? That eliminates the decision fatigue, right? It makes more room for productive behavior. It's like a default, right? That becomes not optional, right? Because you don't rise to the level of your goals. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And season 4 requires season 4 habits. You need to audit what's actually running your days, right? Current habits created current results, right? Different results demand different habits, right? Now, We're almost at the end. We're almost at the end, right? So, in closing, right? In closing, right? Hold on. If this resonated with you, drop a fire emoji. Drop a fire emoji, right? If it resonated with you, drop one of these, right? I don't know what to call this emoji, but drop one of these, right? I guess that's for execution, right? Tag 3 people who need to hear this transformation framework, right? Because at the end of this, right? For my smarts who think critically about change, for my final bosses who build empires systematically, for my motivators who lead through demonstration, for my warriors who know mission success demands strategic elimination, right? We have a few weeks before season 4, right? Start auditing tonight. The rebirth happens in episode 201. Now, after episode 200, when season 3 ends, of course, I'm going to take a break, right? Of course, I'm going to take a break. But when episode 201 returns, that's the rebirth. That's the rebirth, my friends. Listen, stay dangerous, stay disciplined, stay transforming. And to each and every last single one of you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This has been episode number 191 with transformation, right? We are transforming. We're going from old to new, from reckoning to rebirth. And if this resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe it. Like, share, and subscribe it. And if it does resonate, make sure you let it marinate in your spine, right? Let it marinate. And as always, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but the pain of regret is even heavier. We are here. I am is here. He's always here. I am is always here. He's everywhere, right? I am is here. We are here, right? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This has been episode number 191. And make sure you guys have an amazing start of your week. Be balanced, be equal, be smart. I will see you again tomorrow for Motivation Mondays, right? Motivation Mondays as we close out season 3, right? We're going into episode number 192, and we have 8 more episodes to go, right? Y'all have an amazing night and a beautiful morning. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the show. And remember, it's time to start auditing. It's time to start auditing. Season 4 is around the corner. The rebirth is upon us. We've pursued. Now we become, right? Now we become. And that's our show.
Three seasons in, and we're just getting started. You've heard the whispers. You've felt the shift. Now it's time to face the boss. Welcome to season 3 of the Final Boss podcast, where every episode is a power move, every guest is a game changer, and every Tuesday, a tech takeover, and every Monday is motivational with special guest Thursdays, and sitting down with the Final Boss Sundays, hosted by Turbo the CEO, the architect of insight, the voice of the underground, and your guide through the glitch. Plug in, lock on. This is the Final Boss podcast. Season 3 starts now.